in your journey as a trader so far, can you talk on obviously, how hard it actually was? Because a lot of people obviously they'll say we all know the same sort of stories in terms of like, oh yeah, I blew some accounts and I overtraded and yeah, there was some dark times, but like the reality of trading wise, because obviously there's still people to this day who are coming into it new, right? And there's people coming across this podcast, for example, who are still relatively new, and they might have that idea of like 3 months, 6 months, or this guy said this,
The first thing you want to do is figure out why you're trading and what you want from trading. So like I go through, like we said earlier, I go through phases where sometimes I want freedom, sometimes I want money. So like you might go into it and think, I want to be financially free, great, but then how are you going to structure what you want to do? And it's difficult to figure out what sacrifices you'll have to make in advance because you can't see them coming. Like for me personally, when I started trading, it wasn't intentional, it was situational, but I left my job like 6 months after starting and I wasn't ready to make money. So I was living at my grandparents' house and I was living at my auntie's house and I couldn't afford anything and it was just horrible, whatever. Then I got a job and that was difficult. And then funnily enough, I actually didn't speak to like any friends or anyone for probably a good 4 or 5 months at some point, which was lonely as shit, really difficult. I mean, I some of the people that I used to be around before I started trading are not good people. They might be nice people. They might be like, I don't have anything against them, but they're not good for me and they're not seen as good people, naughty boys. And that was something that I wanted to go away from really big time. It led me to some situations as well. I was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And when I left it left me like, right, I want to be like this. And I don't know who is around me that can help me be like this. So let me just go on my own and try and be like this and then see who I can bring back into the circle after.
Okay.
So very, very lonely, very, very rubbish. And then the worst thing I think that people, you hear about, like you said, you have the generic, like I blew accounts and I had bad days and this, that and the other. I don't think people will realize how serious it can get. Like I had, like Joel had heart problems. He had a heart monitor on. I saw him one day, he just comes up, he's got a heart monitor on. I had sleep problems, which I still am like battling now. I've had actual breakdowns, like panic attacks and like genuine, like it's quite emotional even thinking about it. Like I used to be on holidays or whatever, like I said, trading stressed, and I would just lose like a trade or I'd blow another account or whatever it was and absolutely just lose it. I would lose it. I'd bawl into tears and I'd be fucking, I don't know what I'm going to do. And this is just it. Like you cannot, I'm not saying that everybody has those things, right? Because people could take it easier or they can spend more time. Like I was pushing and pushing hard, but it can be different. But you should be aware of it. It's not a walk in the park. And anybody that shows you their lifestyle or what they're doing, that's fine. But it's like the iceberg thing, isn't it? You see the tip of the iceberg, you don't see the rest of it under the water.
Yeah.
And I genuinely wouldn't advise anyone to trade. Never. Like people say to me, oh, would you want your son to trade? Or like, oh, maybe I should start trading. I go, don't do it, man. I don't think you should do it. And then if they really want to do it, they'll do it. But like I've had family relationship problems. Like I fell out with my cousin over it, who I still don't speak to this day, which makes me very sad. My dad once said to me, sometimes you have to admit or understand that you'll never be successful. So that was a difficult thing on our relationship.
Of course.
I've had my mum trying to help me out with money at some points, which has left strains on that and made you feel bad. And I've had girlfriends that have like this shit is not just a normal job, and you're trying to do something that is so difficult for one person to do. You're not in a bank with risk managers and managers
Split
over your head,
different
and like divisions,
and
like, oh yeah, I trade commodities and this, that with 4 other people on a desk. Like it's not that. And your psychology, you don't have a psychology department to go and speak to, or like it is horrendous. Like, and the benefits of it are massive and they're endless, but that doesn't mean you're going to have them. Like you speak to people that have been trading for 7 years, 8 years, 6 years, 5, whatever, and they haven't made any money. So like I personally would say, don't fucking do it. And if you are going to do it, like we said earlier, you got to be prepared to not be able to finance or mortgage or rent for 5 years. You got to be prepared to fall out with friends and not see your family. Like I don't go to family Christmases anymore because I fell out with my cousin. Like this Christmas just went, I was at my friend's house. Like it's mad, bro. Like that makes me sad. And you then have to go inside and go, well, that's the price that I'm paying.
Yeah.
That's what I want to put up with. Like, and it's shit. And sometimes, like, I remember when I first started trading, I've always wanted a family. I've always wanted to be married. That stuff's really important to me. And when I first started trading, I was like, I'm too emotional, man. Like, I was too emotional with trade. I just was. And I made a conscious decision to try not to be. And I literally remember being in Portugal. I was in Portugal at the time, and I was in the middle of this valley, in the middle of nowhere, on my own. Again, weren't speaking to any friends. No one around for fucking miles. Just, it was like the most isolated you could ever be.
Yeah.
And I remember standing in the kitchen and thinking, like, bro, I've got to be prepared to not have a family. So extreme. It's so extreme. But I was like, if I am prepared for that, then at least I know what I should be doing, which is fixing my emotions. I was like, I want to be a trader. I want to make money. That's what I want to do for a living. I'm too emotional. I've got to fix that. And these things will be dynamic as well. So like, you might start at, your friends are fine. You're fine having your friends around you. You're playing football and, oh, great. And that might change over time. And then you've got to cut friends off. You're going to be able to do that? Like, it is chaos how much it can affect your life. And also, your trading life should reflect on your personal life. The more chaotic your personal life is, it will affect your trading and vice versa. So it really becomes a priority if you want to do that. And again, like we said, you're not going to work and getting paid by someone else. You're not going to work in a department of 4 people. It's all on you. So
That's it.
if it's not reflective, it's going to just be fucked. And it's going to be fucked until you can fix it. So, apart from that, like...
In terms of the emotions then, so how was there a process you went through in terms of trying to sort of less heighten those emotions or bring them back to balance?
It was... Yeah, but it wasn't like a scientific one. It was just like... I think where I wasn't speaking to a lot of people anyway, it became a little bit easier. Okay. And like, I was on social media just posting on my stories and stuff, and that was the way that I would communicate with the world for a while. And that was the only way that I communicate with the world for a while. Even my mum, I wasn't really speaking to my mum. That upset her, and that upset me. That's like something that has carried on. But I genuinely was just like, I want this bad enough, and this is all I want. So anything else will be second. Even family relationships, even friends, everything was second, which you can argue with. Is it good or bad? I don't know. Like, well, it's okay now-ish, but I still don't go to family Christmases. Yeah. My mum still wishes she saw me more. Like, you got to decide how you want it to be. And I think for me, I just decided that that's what I wanted. And I wanted to make money trading, and that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to get to the point where I could do whatever I wanted. And I wanted to get to the point where I can buy a Lambo because I like cars. I wanted to be able to look after my family. This is the other thing, man. Like, I've done everything to look after my family. And then you suffer with your family relationships. Yeah. It's mad. Like I'll try not to get emotional with this one, but my granddad, I always wanted to take my granddad away and this stuff, and he died before I got a chance to. And that's like, because you're thinking like, that's what I'm doing it for. And then you don't even realize that you've just missed the chance. That's it. So yeah, it's those kind of things that I will stick with though. Like, I'm sticking with my decisions, and I will always take accountability for my decisions that I put that first. And if it's painful, it's painful. But it's like, this is what I'm saying. I will never advise someone to go into trading unless they fully are like, I can put this first, and I've decided to be accountable for this. Yeah. I don't like people turning around in 2 years going, oh, this is really difficult and I'm falling out with it. You can talk about it and be upset about it and emotional about it like I am now, but you made a decision, man. You can change your, you can change your opinions, but you can't change your decision, or you can, something like that. But yeah, so the process was just like overwhelming. This is what I want to do. I'm just going to go with that.
So just being completely relentless towards that goal.
Yeah. 100%. Simple. And I think that's what's built the whole like not sleeping thing or whatever. I just think that you're better off being extreme than being cautious.
Yeah, like, so like halfway, one foot in the door.
Yeah, like Jordan Peterson said, it's better to be a beast and a nasty guy and then control it. It's much better, you know. Like I even funnily enough on that, I had a situation where I was dragged out of my car by 3 guys with bottles and bricks, and the only reason that I'm okay is because I went fucking nuts. It's better to be extreme, man. You know, like if I'd have just sat there and gone, I had a brick to my head, I had a bottle to my stomach, like, you know, it's always better to be extreme. And that's why I think, like with the traders, when I see people that are like, oh, don't go on the charts as much, that's why I get annoyed, and that's why I speak up against it. It's not so much that I completely disagree or it's not good or bad. It's just the mindset behind it. You know?
So it's kind of like obviously one being relentless towards it, but also accepting what's ahead of time. Like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm willing to sacrifice this and that, and these scenarios are going to happen, but I have to know 100% this is what I want. And the only way to get it is to get through all of this.
Yeah.
Face all the hardship, all the things. And as you say, become that beast.
Yeah, man. I think it's even like going back to the same simple example of, do you want to be struggling to rent somewhere? So simple. It's not even a big deal. Like, but do you want to have to pay up front for places? Like, do you want to have to pay 35 grand for the year up front for somewhere?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be going between short lets? Like, when I was away, it was because I didn't really have somewhere to be. So I'd go to Portugal for a month, then I'd go to Canada for a month, and then I'd go to Portugal again for a month. And it was because I couldn't set myself up properly. It was difficult.
Okay.
You know? So it wasn't like I had income history and I didn't have all this stuff. So I'd come back to the UK and I'd be like, well, might as well just go back to Portugal for the month. It's chaos. Yeah, I think, like you said, you need to be understanding of what is going to come. And I think you need to take responsibility for it when it does come. And I think you have to try and accept it, even if it's difficult.